Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. The Antarctic Fossil Rainforest. The frigid continent of Antarctica was once just as hot as Italy is today. We know this because of a fossil rainforest discovered in Antarctica. These days, the average temperature at the South Pole is 78 degrees Fahrenheit below zero. 90 million years before today, the temperature could soar to over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a difference of almost 200 degrees. According to marine geologist Johann P. Klages, one of the scientists responsible for unearthing the fossils in Antarctica, 90 million years ago was the last time the continent was completely covered with vegetation. He also says Antarctica was probably home to a rich biodiversity of animal life, including dinosaurs. The fossils Johann and his team discovered weren't actually found on the continent, but at the bottom of the sea floor back in 2017. They found fossilized tree roots that date to the Cretaceous period. And not that long ago, a research team from Brazil uncovered pieces of charcoal dating back 75 million years. The charcoal almost definitely came from an ancient fire that engulfed the rainforest in Antarctica. What this means is that something major happened that caused Antarctica to basically burst into flame. And according to these scientists, the climate can and almost certainly will shift again sometime in the future, so that Antarctica is once more as hot and as tropical as the Amazon rainforest. Number 9. UFO over the South Pole. In 2012, aliens were spotted hovering over Antarctica. A mysterious, unidentified flying object was captured on video floating over the Neumayer Station 3. The object is blurry in the footage, so it could technically be anything. UFO buffs swear it was an alien ship. Fast forward a decade, we still don't have any answers for what this mysterious thing was hovering over Antarctica. What we know is that the object appeared directly above the research station. It looked perfectly round, and it seemed to be about the size of a balloon. Not a birthday balloon, but a large weather balloon. Now, everyone has heard the weather balloon excuse before, and so this doesn't sit right with some people. After all, what in the world was a weather balloon doing so far south, lingering over a research station where tests and experiments are carried out for things like meteorology and atmospheric chemistry? It doesn't make any sense. Plus, the object appeared in frame only for a handful of seconds. Whatever this thing was, it appears to have come down from the sky, paused momentarily above the research station, and then took off again. This isn't the kind of behavior we'd expect to see with a weather balloon. We don't really know if this was proof of aliens in Antarctica, but it's definitely mysterious. All these years later, most people have forgotten all about it, and so the investigation is pretty much closed. Number 8. Antarctic jellies. An Australian research crew spent 2018 and 2019 studying the waters of Antarctica. Researcher Emiliano Cimoli from the University of Tasmania put together a short video to show what the scientists discovered. The film is about 7 minutes long, and it shows some of the strange yet beautiful creatures the scientists found flourishing in the icy water just below Antarctica's ice. One part of this study involved examining algae which lives underneath the ice, clinging to it like a mold. They say this mold-like growth is an intricate part of the food chain and helps to feed lots of the other creatures living here. By far, one of the coolest animals they focused on is a jellyfish called a sea angel. Scientists have described it as a tiny wing-flapping jelly that looks like a feather brought to life. There are various jellies underneath Antarctica's ice, but these ones are particularly fascinating. They have small orange crustaceans living on their bodies that act as parasites, easily viewable since the jellies have translucent bodies. You can even see the last meal sitting in the jelly's belly thanks to its nearly invisible skin. While most people may think Antarctica is a wasteland populated by nothing but penguins, it's actually teeming with life, especially the waters. These fantastic jellyfish are only one part of the ecosystem, which consists of hundreds of other strange and mesmerizing creatures. Number 7. Mysterious Cave. Thanks to Google Maps, a mysterious and unexplained cave was discovered on a remote island in Antarctica. Some wild claims have come up surrounding this bizarre cave, with some people saying it could be the entrance to Hollow Earth. Some call it a military cover-up, and some even say it might have something to do with aliens. What we know about the cave is that it first appeared on Google Maps in 2007 and then was gone 6 months later. At least this is according to the Google enthusiasts who have been busy tracking the phenomenon. The cave can be found on Greenwich Island, located in the south of Antarctica. While no trace of it appears to be left today, it was still definitely there in 2007. The big question is why the massive opening into the Earth suddenly vanished after people found it and started talking about it online. And of course, the question as to what was hiding at the bottom of that cave. One of the prevailing theories is that the cave is a secret entrance to Hollow Earth. Hollow Earth is a fringe conspiracy theory which says underneath the surface of the planet is a secondary landscape, a massive land with its own atmosphere, with towering mountains and strange monsters. This place is only accessible through massive caves leading down hundreds of miles into the ground. Nobody has ever been able to prove it, and pretty much every major scientist says it's nothing but science fiction. In truth, the cave probably vanished from Google Maps because it collapsed or was frozen over with ice. In the end, unless you see it with your own eyes, you just can't know for sure. And now for number 6. But first, it's shout-out time! I wanted to say a big thank you to Floyd Reeby and Mike Mueller for supporting this channel. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already to join the Origins Explained family. Number 6. Subglacial Lake. Lake Snow Eagle is a newly discovered subglacial lake hiding underneath Antarctica. By subglacial, I mean the lake is buried underneath glacial ice. From one side to the other, the lake is about 26 miles long, making it one of the biggest of its kind on the continent. It's hiding inside a canyon in East Antarctica, covered and invisible from above by an insanely thick ice sheet. The only way to discover this kind of thing is by using advanced research equipment. Scientists had to use a polar research aircraft equipped with the latest tools to identify the lake under the ice. What's interesting is that it's only a couple hundred miles from the coast, and this has given the scientists an idea. They think that because it's so close to the sea, the mysterious lake could contain information as to how the ice sheet formed in the first place. The lake is about 34 million years old. Because of that, it almost certainly contains geological evidence of Antarctica's past. Dr. Don Blankenship from the Institute for Geophysics at the University of Texas says that as of now, researchers know that something changed with the ice sheet 10,000 years ago. They don't know what or why. As they dig deeper into the subglacial lake, they are hoping to uncover secrets of Antarctica's past. Sediment at the bottom of the lake should yield clues as to every little thing that's happened on the continent for the last tens of millions of years. Number 5. Fresh plastic. In a shocking and hardly believable first, scientists have discovered microplastics in fresh Antarctic snow. Fresh means snow that has recently fallen from the sky. In other words, scientists have found snow infused with plastic particles beginning to blanket Antarctica. It shows just how extensive global plastic pollution is, seeing as it's already in the water cycle and coming down in Antarctica in snowflakes. The research was done by scientists at the University of Canterbury in New Zealand. They looked at snow samples from 19 different places across the Ross ice shelf. When they looked at these samples, they found plastic particles, specifically the kind of plastic that can be found everywhere on Earth in clothes and water bottles. But here's what's even more disturbing. The study found that 29 particles per liter of melted snow are made of plastic. That's even higher than concentrations in the water around Antarctica. That means there's a higher concentration of plastic up in the clouds than in the ocean. The find was pretty depressing to the scientists, who traveled to Antarctica in 2019, optimistic there would be no microplastics in such a remote place. Sadly, they were completely wrong. Number 4. Monstrous Birds. 50 million years ago, there was a bird that looked kind of like an albatross. Only for a mouth, this bird had a hacksaw. It also had a wingspan of about 21 feet. It was bigger than a car and was probably one of the largest birds to ever take to the skies. This beast belonged to a family of ancient avian animals called Pelagornithid. And to give you an example of just how big they were, they absolutely dwarfed the largest bird alive right now by wingspan, the albatross, with a measly 11.5 feet. Evidence of this monstrosity has been found in Antarctica. researchers came across a portion of a bird's fossilized foot from 50 million years ago. It's amazing because it shows that after the extinction of the dinosaurs 65 million years ago, birds bounced back in a big way. The dinosaurs were dead and the world was ruled by dragon-like birds. And apparently, they like to hang out in Antarctica. This discovery was also pretty fascinating because it proved to be the oldest pelagornithid bone ever uncovered, over 10 million years older than a jawbone from 40 million years ago. And that's not the only crazy thing, because the last known pelagornithid only died a brief 2.5 million years ago, right around the time revolving ice ages started. This huge bony-toothed bird could have been living in Antarctica even after the legendary megalodon went extinct. Number 3. The wreckage of the Endurance. 2 miles beneath the water in the Weddell Sea, not far from the mainland of Antarctica, Ernest Shackleton's legendary vessel, the Endurance, has been found. It's sitting on the Antarctic sea floor, almost 10,000 feet below, since it was last seen in 1915. That was when Shackleton, an Irish-British explorer, watched with his crew of 27 men as their ship sank into the chaotic depths of the ocean. Their mission had been to reach the South Pole by traveling through uncharted territory in eastern Antarctica. Shackleton proved too reckless, too obsessed with getting to the South Pole, and so he ignored the warnings of local whalers. They told him not to go in 1914 because of poor ice conditions. Shackleton thought he knew better than the experienced whalers, and his ship ended up sinking. Still, Shackleton proved to be a most resilient leader. He led his stranded men to Elephant Island, where they set up camp in the snow. He then took 5 of his men and embarked on a journey across 800 miles of freezing water to reach South Georgia Island. And once there, he recruited help to go back and pick up the rest of the crew. All these years later, the Endurance has finally been uncovered, documented, and photographed. A team of researchers traveled on the South African icebreaker SA Agulhas 2, searched for 2 weeks, then used submersible crafts to scan the sea floor. Finally, they came across the legendary vessel, and because of the cold Antarctic temperatures, the Endurance looks exactly the same as it did when it sank over a century ago. Number 2. Unknown life. A series of mysterious caves have been discovered in Antarctica. Scientists say the caves are warm enough that they could support plant and animal species, but nobody knows just yet. The issue is that Australian scientists from Australian National University found the caves hidden underneath the icy surface of Antarctica, but they haven't been able to look inside them. The caves have been created by steam leaking out from Mount Erebus, potentially one of the most dangerous volcanoes in Antarctica. This steam has made a kind of labyrinth of tunnels and caverns underneath the ice, and has also helped to keep it warm inside. Believe it or not, these Antarctic caves can reach temperatures of 77 degrees Fahrenheit. There is also quite a bit of light filtering through the ice, which could help plants to grow. In all likelihood, the life forms living in these caves are things like moss and algae, but there could be small invertebrates as well. Maybe some really small bugs or tiny living organisms. Researchers won't know until they can physically search the caves and look for potential life forms. Number 1. Ship in the ice. In 1985, the Soviet Union dispatched a giant icebreaker to Antarctica. They did this because one of their research vessels had gotten trapped in the thick ice with 53 people on board. The vessel got stuck in 12 feet of thick, nearly indestructible ice. Those 53 men were stuck in the polar nights with bitter frost in their lungs and literally nowhere to go. Even though the Russian icebreaker, the Vladivostok, went to save them in early June, it wouldn't reach them until July, and so they were stranded there for nearly 2 months. The ship that was stuck was the Mikhail Somov, built in 1975 as a Russian research vessel. After spending all summer in the ice, the Vladivostok finally reached it, broke enough ice for the ship to get out, and everyone was saved. This was over 50 years ago, and there hasn't been quite this dramatic of an Antarctic rescue since then. Thanks for watching! Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already for more videos about Antarctica. See you next time! Bye!